create a sharp, horizontal thumbnail image. Claire angrily slapped Victoria across the face, handing her a stack of photos of Victoria and Kyle kissing. Victoria, embarrassed, covered her face, apologized, and tried to explain, but Claire waved her hand, refusing to listen. I can't even begin to process the sheer magnitude of what we just witnessed. The sound of that slap. It's still echoing in my mind, and I honestly think it will be echoing in the halls of Genoa City for a very, very long time. When Claire's hand made contact with Victoria's cheek, it wasn't just a physical blow. It was the shattering of an entire world. You could feel the air get sucked out of the room. I mean, we all knew the tension was building. We all knew that Claire investigating Victoria and Kyle's overlapping schedules was going to lead to a devastating confrontation. But seeing it actually happen, seeing the raw, unfiltered agony on Claire's face as she caught her own mother in an intimate moment with Kyle Abbott, it just breaks your heart into a million little pieces. It really does. And you know, looking at Claire in that exact moment, you could see every single defense mechanism she had ever built just crumbling to the floor. She was trembling, visibly shaking from head to toe, consumed by a mixture of absolute rage and a sorrow so deep it's hard to even put into words. This wasn't just about catching two people in a secret romance. This was about catching her mother, the woman who was supposed to be her ultimate safe harbor, wrapped up in an intimate moment with the man Claire once loved. The betrayal in Claire's eyes was so palpable, so intensely raw, that it almost felt intrusive to watch. I found myself tearing up just seeing the way her chest heaved as she struggled to draw a breath. It's like you could actually see her heart breaking in real time, fracturing under the weight of a truth she never, ever wanted to believe. Then there's Victoria. Oh, Victoria, the sheer shock on her face was something I don't think I'll ever forget. She stood there, completely frozen for a second, her hand slowly rising to touch the stinging, red mark on her cheek where her own daughter had just struck her. I don't think Victoria ever, in her wildest nightmares, anticipated that Claire would react with such physical and emotional ferocity. I mean, Victoria is so used to controlling the narrative, so used to managing the people around her. That being slapped back into reality by the child she fought so hard to reclaim must have been a profoundly disorienting experience. You could see the panic setting in, the sudden, terrifying realization that her carefully constructed world of secrets and corporate truces had just exploded right in her face. And what does Victoria do? True to form, she immediately tries to manage the crisis. She steps forward, her voice dropping to this frantic, desperate whisper, trying to pull Claire aside. It was almost painful to watch her try to contain the situation, as if pulling Claire into a quiet corner could somehow undo the catastrophic damage that had just been done. Victoria was pleading, her eyes wide with a kind of terror we rarely see from the Ice Queen of Newman Enterprises. She was begging Claire to just give her a minute, to just step away from the public eye and let her explain. But explain what, exactly? How do you explain away the fact that you are romantically involved with the man who broke your daughter's heart? It boggles my mind that Victoria thought a quiet conversation could fix this. Victoria actually tried to justify it, which, I have to admit, made me a little angry to watch. She kept emphasizing that her relationship with Kyle was just budding, that it was something new, something that had just started to blossom, as if the timeline somehow mitigated the betrayal. She looked Claire dead in the eye and swore that she never had any intention of hurting her, but honestly, how could she not know? How could a mother, especially a mother who knows the severe psychological fragility of her child, not realize that sleeping with her daughter's ex-lover would be the ultimate emotional nuke? It's just so incredibly selfish. I find myself getting so frustrated with Victoria because she always seems to prioritize her own romantic desires over the emotional well-being of her family, and this time, the collateral damage is just as high. When Victoria reached out, trying to physically bridge the gap between them, the way Claire reacted was absolutely devastating. Claire didn't just pull away, she recoiled. It was a visceral, full-body flinch, as if Victoria's touch was physically toxic. You could see the revulsion in Claire's posture, the way she wrapped her arms around herself in this desperately protective stance. It was in that exact moment that the ghost of Aunt Jordan seemed to materialize right there in the room with them. I got chills, literal chills. Watching Claire's eyes darken as all the memories of Jordan's sick, twisted manipulation came flooding back. For her entire childhood, Claire was taught that the people who claim to love you are the ones who will lie to you the most. And now, her own mother was proving that horrific lesson right all over again. It just breaks my heart to think about the psychological regression Claire must be experiencing right now. She worked so incredibly hard to overcome the brainwashing, She went through so much therapy, shed so many tears, and fought so many internal battles just to allow herself to trust Victoria. She placed Victoria on this massive, unreachable pedestal, viewing her as the perfect, loving mother who would never deceive her. And to have that pedestal smashed to pieces by the reality of Victoria's deceit. It's not just a setback, it's a total emotional collapse. Claire's mind is undoubtedly drawing terrifying parallels between Jordan and Victoria right now. If her mother can lie to her face about something this massive, what else is she lying about? Is any of the love real? It's a terrifying spiral for a girl who has already survived so much mental torture. And we can't ignore the Kyle factor in all of this. Kyle Abbott wasn't just some random fling for Claire. He was her first real experience with love, her first taste of what a normal, healthy relationship could potentially look like after a lifetime of isolation. He meant the world to her, and even though they didn't work out, the emotional attachment doesn't just vanish overnight. For Victoria to cross that specific boundary, to take the one man who represented safety and normalcy for her daughter and turn him into her own secret lover, it's a boundary violation of epic proportions. I just sit here thinking, of all the men in Genoa City, Victoria, why him? Why did it have to be Kyle? It feels so reckless, so needlessly cruel, even if she didn't intend it to be. The sheer lack of foresight is staggering. Claire finally found her voice, and when she did, it was laced with a venom and a sorrow that cut straight to the bone. She flat out refused to listen to Victoria's excuses. She put her hand up, stopping her mother mid-sentence, and the absolute finality in her tone was chilling. Her voice was shaking, cracking under the weight of her tears, but her words were like daggers. She told Victoria that she didn't want to hear another lie, that she couldn't stomach another manipulation. It was such a powerful, yet profoundly tragic moment of self-preservation. Claire was essentially building a fortress around her heart right before our eyes, locking Victoria out because the pain of letting her in had simply become too great to bear. You could see Claire desperately trying to hold herself together, refusing to let Victoria spin the narrative. Then came the words that I think we will all remember for a very long time. Claire looked at the woman she had fought so hard to call mom, and with tears streaming down her face, she declared that she could never trust her again. She said the words out loud. That their mother-daughter relationship was fundamentally, irreparably broken. Hearing her say that, it felt like a punch to the gut. I had to pause and just take a deep breath because the emotional weight of that declaration is just so immense. This is a bond that was forged in the fires of Jordan's madness, a bond that was supposed to be the ultimate redemption story for the Newman family. And in the span of a few minutes, it was completely obliterated by a secret romance. Claire didn't just express anger, she expressed a total, absolute loss of faith. And I honestly don't know how you ever come back from that. The look on Victoria's face when Claire said those words. It was the look of a woman who has just realized she has lost everything that truly matters. Victoria was left completely stunned, her mouth slightly open, the tears finally welling up in her own eyes as the gravity of the situation crashed down on her. She tried to reach out one last time, a desperate, futile attempt to cling to the daughter slipping through her fingers, but it was useless. The Ice Queen was melting, completely undone by the consequences of her own actions. I couldn't help but feel a tiny pang of pity for her, even though she brought this entirely on herself. It's a tragic flaw, really, Victoria's inability to see past her own immediate desires until the damage is already done. And now she has to live with the agonizing reality that she is the architect of her own daughter's heartbreak. And then Claire turned her back. That simple, physical act of turning away felt so incredibly heavy, so laden with symbolism. She didn't look back. She didn't wait for another apology or another flimsy excuse. She just turned on her heel and walked away, leaving Victoria standing there in the wreckage of their relationship. Watching Claire's retreating figure, you could see the exhaustion in her steps. She looked like a soldier walking away from a battlefield where she had lost absolutely everything. I found myself whispering at the screen, hoping against hope that she would turn around, that there would be some magical reconciliation. But life in Genoa City doesn't work like that. The damage is done, the trust is gone, and Claire is walking back out into a world where she feels completely, utterly alone once again. As I sit here reflecting on this entire heartbreaking ordeal, I just feel this profound sense of sorrow for everyone involved. Victoria is left standing in the ashes of her own making, completely paralyzed by despair as she realizes the corporate truce with Abbott and her family's peace are both shattered. This isn't just a family squabble, it's a massive scandal that threatens to destabilize the entire Newman Empire. I keep hoping that time will heal this wound, that eventually Claire will find it in her heart to forgive. But as I replay the sound of that slap, and the look of absolute, soul-crushing betrayal in Claire's eyes. I honestly don't know. Some things, once broken, can never be put back together the exact same way. The future of the Newman family is shrouded in a thick, suffocating fog of uncertainty and pain, and all we can do is watch, wait, and hope.